The village of Asuom woke to an unnatural stillness. The clinic, once alive with the chatter of nurses and the cries of newborns, stood silent, its doors locked, its windows dark. A nationwide strike had swept through Ghana, as nurses, burdened by unpaid wages and overwork, refused to tend the sick until their voices were heard. In homes across Asuom, fevers burned, wounds festered, and mothers clutched their children, whispering prayers to the ancestors. Oma Sawa, a retired nurse of 62, sat on her veranda, her hands tracing the patterns of her faded Kent cloth. Her hair, streaked with silver, framed a face etched with years of service. She had delivered half the village's children, soothed elders through their final breaths, and once faced a cholera outbreak with nothing but her wits and a lantern. Now, her hands rested, but her heart stirred uneasily. As the sun climbed, Kofi, a wiry boy of 12, sprinted to her gate, his bare feet kicking up red dust. "Mama Oma," he panted. "The chief summons you. The clinic needs its old healers." Oma's eyes narrowed. She had heard the radio broadcast, the government's plea for retired nurses to return and bridge the gap left by the strike. Her joints ached, and her spirit wavered. Could she, after years of rest, answer this call? She rose, her gaze drifting to the great baobab tree at the village's edge, its branches like arms cradling the sky. "I must ask the ancestors," she murmured, her voice soft as the evening breeze. That night, under a moon as bright as a midwife's lamp, Oma walked to the baobab, its silhouette a guardian over Asuom. In Akan tradition, the baobab was sacred, a vessel for the spirits of those who came before. Oma knelt, pressing her palms against its rough bark, the scent of earth and ancient wood filling her lungs. "Old one," she whispered, "my hands are weary, my strength faded. Should I return to the clinic?" The night was still, but a breeze stirred, carrying a hum like the voices of her mother, her grandmother, both nurses who had served Asuom. "The healer's duty is a thread in the Kent of life," the wind seemed to say. "It does not break while one soul suffers." In her mind, Oma saw her mother, Efua, grinding herbs by candlelight, teaching her to listen to a patient's breath, to feel the rhythm of life. She saw the faces of children she had saved, elders she had comforted. The baobab's roots seemed to pause beneath her, urging her forward. By dawn, Oma's decision was made. She opened her wooden chest, retrieving her old nurse's bag, its leather cracked but steady, holding bandages, a stethoscope, and vials of herbal remedies. She slung it over her shoulder, her steps firm. The ancestors had spoken. She would answer the call. The chief's compound was alive with the hum of voices and the scent of roasted yam. The village had gathered, their faces a mix of hope and worry. 3 other retired nurses stood before the chief's stool, their presence as commanding as their Adinkra symbols carved into the wood. Kwame Mensah, a wiry man with hands steady as a weaver's, had once stitched wounds with the precision of a master tailor. Adwa Nyako, her laughter as warm as a hearth, could calm a crying child with a single smile. ESI Boten, her eyes sharp as a hawk's, knew the forest secrets, her herbal remedies legendary. The chief, Nana Owusu, rose, his Kent robe shimmering in the morning light. "People of Asuom," he declared, his voice like the beat of a talking drum, "our clinic is empty, but our elders are our strength. These healers will hold us until the storm passes." The crowd roared, the whispers rippled through. Could these old ones endure the long hours? Could they wield needles and navigate the chaos of a clinic? Oma stepped forward, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "We do not come to break the strike. Our children fight for what is right." But we come for the sick, for the mothers, for the children who cannot wait. Her words settled like rain on parched soil, and the villagers nodded, their trust in the elders unshaken. The clinic's doors groaned as they opened, revealing a scene of neglect. Dust coated the beds, cobwebs draped the corners, and the medicine shelf stood nearly bare, stripped by the strike's chaos. Amma, Kwame, Adwa, and ESI set to work, sweeping floors, boiling water, and sorting what remained: gauze, a few vials of paracetamol, and a single thermometer. By mid-morning, patients arrived. A boy, Kwabena, limped in, his foot swollen from a torn wound. A pregnant woman, Ya, clutched her belly, her pains too early for her time. An elder, Papa Kofi, wheezed, his lungs strained by years of cocoa farming. Omar's hands moved with the rhythm of memory, cleaning Kwabena's wound, checking Ya's pulse, and listening to Papa Kofi's chest. But the work was relentless. Her back ached, her vision blurred in the heat, and the weight of her 62 years pressed heavy. Kwame struggled to lift Papa Kofi onto a bed, his own strength waning. Adwa's knees creaked as she knelt to comfort Ya, and ESI's hands trembled as she crushed herbs. Yet ESI's voice rose, singing an old Akan lullaby, Ejiopayi, its melody weaving strength into their weary bones. By dusk, Kwabena's wound was clean, Ya's pains eased with rest, and Papa Kofi breathed easier with ESI's elbow steam. As night fell, a new challenge arrived: Afia, a girl of 8, burning with malaria's fever. The clinic had no quinine left. Omar's heart sank, but ESI knelt beside the girl, pulling neem leaves and morino from her bag. "The forest is our pharmacy," she said, brewing a bitter tea. Omar fed it to Afia, spoon by spoon, as the girl's mother wept. By midnight, Afia's fever broke, and the elders shared a weary smile. They were still healers. Word of the elders' work spread like the rhythm of a phantom from drum. The chief's son, Kwesi, beat the talking drum, its message echoing to neighboring villages: the old ones heal again. Patients came from afar, some on foot, others carried on wooden stretchers, their families bearing gifts of yam and palm oil in gratitude. The clinic buzzed once more, though its shelves remained sparse. Amma took charge, organizing the elders into shifts. She tended wounds and fevers, Kwame stitched cuts, Adwa soothed frightened children, and ESI mixed remedies from the forest bounty. But the strain grew. Amma's hands cramped, Kwame's eyes grew bleary, and Adwa's laughter faltered. Only ESI's songs kept their spirits afloat, her voice a thread connecting them to the ancestors. One evening, a group of young striking nurses passed through Asuom, their faces hard with resolve. They paused at the clinic, eyeing the elders with suspicion. "You weaken our fight," one said, her voice sharp. Amma met her gaze, unflinching. "We honor your struggle, but we cannot let children die while you wait for justice." The young nurse, Abina, softened, her eyes glistening. "I'll bring supplies tomorrow," she whispered, slipping away into the night. On the 10th day, a storm swept through Asuom, its rains turning the red earth to mud. The clinic became a refuge, its wards overflowing. Malaria cases surged, a child was born under a leaking roof, and an elder collapsed from a heart ailment. The elders worked without pause, their hands trembling but unyielding. Amma delivered the newborn, a girl named after her mother, Akojua, while Kwame revived the elder with careful pressure on his chest. Adwa sang to calm the panicked, and ESI brewed teas under a flickering lantern. In the chaos, Amma found Abina at the door, soaked but carrying a sack of medicines, quinine, bandages, and antibiotics. "From my own stock," Abina said. You're right. The sick can't wait. Oma clasped her hand, a bridge between generations forged in the storm. As the rains cleared, the clinic stood as a beacon. The elders' work had saved dozens, their hands weaving life where death had loomed. But Oma felt the weight of her years. Each step was heavier, each breath harder. She wondered if this was truly her last duty. On the 15th day, a government truck rumbled into Asuom, its tires sinking into the muddy paths. It carried crates of medicines, for fluids, and a letter from Accra. The strike was nearing its end, with promises of better wages and conditions for nurses. The elders' work had bought precious time, their hands holding the village together until the young could return. The villagers gathered, their voices rising in a song of praise. Waikis, Waikis. You are great, you are great. Nana Owusu placed a string of beads around each elder's neck, a symbol of honor. Oma's eyes glistened as she looked at Kwame, Adwoa, and ESI, their faces lined but radiant. They had answered the call, not for glory, but for Asuom. That night, Oma returned to the baobab, her nurse's bag at her side. She pressed her hand to its back, whispering thanks to the ancestors. In the breeze, she heard her mother's voice, the thread of duty never frays. Oma smiled, knowing this was her last duty, her final gift to keyboard, the last duty. Years passed, and the clinic of Asuom thrived again, its shelves stocked, its wards bustling with young nurses like Abina, who now led with the wisdom Oma had shared. The children of Asuom grew up telling tales of the elders who answered the call when the clinic fell silent. They spoke of Oma Sawa, whose hands delivered life, Kwame Mensah, whose stitches were as fine as Kent, Adwoa Nyako, whose laughter was medicine, and ESI Boten, whose herbs spoke with the forest voice. Oma, now frail, spent her days under the baobab, teaching girls like Afia, now a spirited teenager, the art of healing. Duty is not a weight, she told them, but a thread that binds us to our people. The baobab stood tall, its leaves whispering the story of the last duty, a legend rooted deep in Asuom's heart, where the ancestors' wisdom and the healer's hands kept the village alive.